Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce. He'll be on the phone here directly with us. We are in our 8th day of a 9-day teacher's training, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. We've had, in the previous 9-day intensive, we had 32 people. We've got 31 this 9 days, and the energy has been so high. It's just amazing. And so the last 3 days, each participant has been presenting part of the work, and so that's part of their practice to learn how to take this work the next step and to teach it to other people. And by teaching it, we learn it on a whole new level because, what is it they say? We teach best that which we most need to learn. So we're glad that you're with us on the show. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169, and you press 1, and that puts you in queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and your questions. And I see that I already have a caller. I apologize, my switchboard's running a little slow here, but area code 519, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. My name is Karen.
Hi, Karen. What can
my
I do
first time on your show. Sorry, I saw the forgiveness, and you know, one more time, it's so true. I've been on a spiritual journey for the last year, and you know, just as you're getting ready to go to the next step, you know, this last week, it's a lot of the old came up, and it's just, you know, takes you to your knees and you go, why? I want to be done with this. I want to move forward. And, you know, how do we do
that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if this is the first time on the show, are you familiar with their website at all?
No, I'm excited to check that out.
Okay. It's whyagain.com, WHYAGAIN.com. Michael has written a book that's Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So it's the first and the last word of his book, whyagain.com. We're also switching over to whyagain.org. It's a much updated website. So both of them will be live for a while, and then we'll eventually switch totally over to the whyagain.org. But if you go to our website, there's a link that says Download Worksheets. And if you click on that, there's a 7-step worksheet that walks you through step-by-step how to do the forgiveness process. There's also MP3s of different radio shows where we've walked different people through doing the worksheet. So you can listen to those, and it kind of walks you through of how to do it in more detail. But just to kind of give you an idea of what it's about, in this culture, we're taught, okay, if you and I interact and I become angry, then I say, I forgive you. Well, that's pardoning, which is a nice thing, and it has some good results from it. I mean, it could help you to unlink your anger from the other person that you're saying caused it in you. And they're really just your trigger, because if you didn't have anger within, then there's no way you could be angry at another person. They might do something totally off the wall, and you just kind of look at them like, okay, you've got an issue here. Can I support you in it? But you would not become angry. So if you and I interact and I become angry and I just pardon you, have I done anything to address the anger that's within me?
No. So true forgiveness from the Aramaic is I'm going to go inside and remove my anger. Because what happens is we're an energy field, and we can put energies in our field that build us up, and we can put energies in that tear us down. And, this isn't a religious idea, but it says that
We are created in the image of God, and it says God is love. We are created in the very essence of love. We always ask people to describe their first time holding a newborn and describe the essence of that newborn. Not that it was crying because of the way it was jerked into the world, but the essence of the newborn itself. And everybody always describes it as beautiful and wonderful and awesome and precious and pure and sweet and all of these. Well, those are descriptors of you. Those are descriptors of me. But somewhere along the way, and it's usually, by the age of 4 or 5, we actually have forgotten that because the world's come along and put thumbprints, and we start developing a false self of who we think we need to be approved of, and we have confused approval for love. And so we start behaving in this false self instead of just being who we are. We start doing. We become a human doing instead of a human being. And so we build these false identities in us, and we develop, the angers and the fears and the griefs and the pains and the sorrows and all the things that don't belong in the system. Anything less than love does not belong in the system. And so we build these realities. The reality is what's between your ears. Actuality is what's really going on in the world. And so it's how do we dismantle that? How do we get back to being who we are, to being just the state of love and not being affected by all these other things? We have to remove it from within us because it's like a tuning fork. In science class, if you took a middle C tuning fork and you hit it on the desk and it started to vibrate, you could hold it in front of another middle C tuning fork and the second tuning fork would start to vibrate without being touched because they're the same atomic structure and they're in frequency with each other. So we're like that too. We're energy. And we send out, we hold within us, we try to put on this face of, everything's okay, I've got my life in control. But underneath we have this anger or fear or whatever going on. That's what's yelling the loudest because it's got the most energy. And it sends out this signal to the world that says, hey, I've got this fear in me or this anger in me, and I need to heal it. Would anybody show it to me? And so anybody and everybody comes along to bring it up, to show it to us, to give us the opportunity to heal it. But when it's in our face, all we can see is, I didn't feel this way until you came along, so it must be your fault. So I'll just get rid of you, and I'll put what I'm feeling back down in and pack it real nice and neat where I don't have to look at it again. And it guarantees we get to do it again because they've actually proven in a laboratory that when you think thoughts, it becomes your physiology. So if I think an angry thought, a hateful thought towards another person, I put the chemistry of hate into my cells, and it becomes my physical disease. And so life doesn't want me to destroy myself, so it's going to send me anybody and everybody that I need to bring it up, to give me the opportunity to heal it. Does that make sense?
Oh, my gosh. That's like one of those wake-up moments. It resonates so high with you because, and when you're talking, the big one for me is betrayal and shame.
Oh.
It comes up a lot, that I feel betrayed or I feel humiliated. Humiliated seems to be, and I get angry because I feel humiliated. And
so what happens is the anger, we always say that anger is actually a drug. The only reason that people do, drugs or alcohol or whatever is to anesthetize themselves from the pain that's going on, that, the issues of life that they don't know how to deal with, and it creates this pain, and they don't want to, handle that or don't know how to handle it. And so the drugs anesthetize it so that we don't have to look at it, we don't have to feel it, and we feel better, or so we say. Yeah. Well, anger is an internally produced drug. When we feel afraid or have pain or sad or whatever, we feel like we're a victim and we're weak, so we can kick in that anger, and then all of a sudden we feel strong. And that's a pseudo-solution, and it's not true, but that's what happens. So anytime that we've worked with people and they're angry, if we can get them to drop their rage for just a moment, they almost immediately go into their pain. And so if you can deal with the pain that underlies the anger will go away on its own.
Wow.
So the real issue is the pain underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were doing a worksheet, and I don't know if you have access to a website or anything right now where you could look at what the worksheet looks like, but the first part of it always asks for you to identify a person, place, and event It could be past, present, future, living or dead. Be yourself. And you identify an object that you believe is a cause, but it's really just your trigger, like we just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you identify something. So you just talked about that you feel, what's the key one that you popped out with? You named 2 or 3 there.
Yeah, the key one
Humiliated?
is humiliated.
All right.
I guess it goes even back to worthless, right?
Okay, that one is just about planet-wide. And Michael has joined us on the phone, too. So, Michael, anytime you want to jump in there.
Yeah, and I know it comes from mother.
From your mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So one of the
protected.
things that we also talk about is that we all have a power person, and it's usually a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's someone who had more power over us when we were small than we had over ourselves. And so for survival's sake, we submitted to the power person. But we also took in, this is how my power person, what they do to win over me. And so it's a whole other topic. We won't go there right now. We won't overload you with information on your first time on the show.
Wow.
But then you'll find that you ultimately will do that behavior when you become ultra stressed. Have you ever done something and you go, oh, my God, that's my mother? Or,
yeah, very much.
Yeah.
I catch that with my daughter, and it's like, that, wow, I can't believe I just did that or said that, and where did that come from?
Right. So it's just it's an automatic decision behavior system. It's not that you think about it and think, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. In fact, usually when we do that, then we go, oh, why did I do that? I don't want to do that. I always said I wasn't going to do what they did to me. And, but that's how it's built in that, this is how I win. And when the stress gets ultra high and we feel like we need to win, to get upper handle on our situation, to be able to control our pain, then we just automatically move into that behavior. But if you're working through a worksheet, the first thing then that it would ask is for you to pick a trigger. So since you've said your mother, then, do you have a pen? Can you make notes on this so that when you print off a worksheet? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So the first part you're going to say is your mother then. Mm-hmm. That's going to be your trigger. And then you'll look at a situation when, we've kind of, this is what I call backing into a worksheet. You already identified the feeling. So there's a 1A, B, C, D, E. So you'll see when you open the worksheet that 1C says, how do I feel? So in that one, you're going to put worthless because you've already identified that. And so then you've already mentioned your mother, so she's going to be 1A. And you'll see that there's some little blanks for you to put your initials because every worksheet's really about you.
Okay.
You're trying to heal something inside of you that you're blaming on somebody outside of you.
Right.
And then number 1B says, what's your perception? So think of a time when your mother did something and you felt worthless. And so you can write that in on 1B. And it's only for your records, for you to look back on. I can always, when I do a worksheet, it may be months down the road, I go back and I kind of look back through some of my worksheets and I'm like, oh, how was that a trigger? It's at times, and that kind of is a way you can tell, too, that you're progressing.
Beautiful.
And then 1D will ask you to think of a thought. So what thought in regards to a situation with your mother where you felt worthless, what thought is behind that? And, Michael, is worthless more of a thought than a feeling? I'm actually thinking maybe worthless is more of a thought. And he'll pop in here and add to that here in a second.
Yeah, definitely worthless is a thought. If I can say when I feel worthless, I'm really sad, then I'm looking at a thought. I'm not really looking at a feeling. So when I come to a conclusion, if I have a conclusion that I'm a certain way, then I'm dealing with a thought, not a feeling.
Yeah, like when I feel worthless, I feel scared and devastated.
There you go. So when I think, and the truth would be when I think I'm worthless, I'm scared and devastated.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
Good catch.
Pardon me, Michael?
So go for the next step, Jeanie. You're right on it.
He said that was a good catch, that you immediately saw, what you were feeling behind the thought of being worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next step in the worksheet, and we're kind of running through this pretty quickly. You'll go back and print the worksheet out. It's got a lot of information on there that'll take it even deeper. And then, like I said, you can listen to the radio shows that are also on the website, and they'll walk you through step by step. Each one is different. Different people had different issues, and so that'll give you a little better understanding. We're here Monday through Friday the same time. You can call in every day if you'd like, and we'll be more than glad to support you in working through something if you find you're stuck as you're working through the worksheet.
Oh, beautiful.
And so 1E is going to ask you, how do you want to punish them? So what did you want to do when your mom did something and you felt sad or afraid? And
remove myself.
Okay. Is that a punishment for her or you or both?
Probably both.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a pattern. When somebody hurts me, I, instead of striking out at them, my first thought is to remove me.
Okay. Well, that might be, okay, so you could number on down. You've kind of jumped ahead on the worksheet, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You'll see that in number 6, it'll ask you, how do I feel, and now what do I see? And so you've already noted that what you see is that this is a pattern.
Yeah.
And so it's not really about your mom, that, she was a trigger in this moment, in this instant that you wrote about that brought it up for you. But it's not really about her, it's about you. So you've already seen that. So then you can write that in when you get down to number 6. When it says, what do I see, you already see that it's a pattern.
And I found out years later that as a baby, my dad was expecting, I was the second child, so he was expecting a son, but more importantly, he thought I was from someone else. And so I lived my childhood not feeling like I was right in the middle of 2 girls, and my older sister being the first, and then my younger sister being like his mom. I could never understand why he didn't treat me the same, so I thought there was something wrong with me. And it wasn't until just before he died that he admitted that he thought I was from someone else. So he never felt the same about me, but as a child, I didn't know that information. I felt that information, so I lived my life thinking there was something wrong with me because my daddy didn't, and my mom protected him, right? But I didn't know that. It was just a feeling that I had. And then when she remarried, I was a victim of sexual abuse and they always came after me, not after the other 2 girls. And her comment was, they always said that they thought I was looking for a father figure. And I said to her, but father figures don't abuse children. And she protected the abusers, not me.
Wow. So you've got a lot of worksheet material to work through on that, but can you see?
I can't wait. That sounds like already.
And is your mom still in her body?
No, my mom and dad have both passed.
Okay. So even working on worksheets towards her, and even speaking as if she were there and telling her what you would like to have told her, that'll take it into a deeper level too. But that's on down the road a little bit. Okay. We'll just take baby steps one at a time. And but you sound like you've got tremendous willingness to face it and to go through it and recognize that the things that they did, yes, it was off the wall and it was inappropriate. And, when we talk about forgiving and going inside and removing your pain and your sadness and your grief, that doesn't mean letting them off the hook. You might choose to pardon them and let them off the hook.
I have.
But there are times when the other person needs to be held accountable for their action because it's definitely off the wall, like child abuse. That's definitely off the wall. Yeah. And needs to be, reported or whatever. But if you try to do that when you're in your state of fear or anger, then you'll not be thinking straight. You'll not have all the resources available to you that are there because your mind's already filled up with, all of this other and the fear and everything else. So when you can go into your own space, remove your fear, and stay in a connected space, then hold them accountable from that connected space, then you'll get so much further.
And it's funny because I have I truly understand that she was, both her and my stepfather, were little children that were hurt. And before they died, I did tell her that I loved her and I forgave them, and that they needed to learn to forgive themselves. What I've discovered is I can't seem to forgive myself, and I don't know what that is.
And it's because you pardoned them for what they did, and that's a nice thing. It can break that link of you projecting the blame, and connecting your feelings and emotions to their actions. And so you can break that link by pardoning. And when you say, I forgave them, and that they need to forgive themselves, that is all pardoning, which is nice. But what we're looking to do here is, and it's a twist in words, it's just, the meaning of the word has been changed. And so instead of pardoning, we want to actually go inside. If you look at the Aramaic, the word is shabag, and it's been translated as forgive, but it actually means to cancel. Oh. And so, or to untie or to loosen, to let it go. So it's how do I go inside and remove my fear and things like that. And then that will free you to let go of the story, to let go of the other emotions that are still linked. And it's, it sounds like you've had a lifelong process of it, of different things, and you probably not knowing how to let that go, took those same behaviors and the same emotions in every relationship, whether it was an intimate relationship or whether it was, with a coworker or a teacher or whoever, that vibrated, like we talked about the tuning forks earlier. Yeah. That vibrated out. It's, Michael even talked about, they did this study and they brought in people off the street and kind of did a lineup, and then let these prisoners that had done, terrible crimes choose out of this lineup out of all these people, who they would attack. And almost every one of them picked the same person.
Wow.
And so it's this resonance of, hey, I'm here to be attacked, or, I'm not worthy. I need somebody to come beat me up or treat me unlovingly. I need somebody to, desert me and leave me. I need somebody to take up for the other people and let me, take the blunt of it. And so you're sending out that signal, and until you can break that signal, that's what you're going to get in your life. And so then once you can change that, then you'll create a whole new world out there. Some people do the same crazy things, but it won't be in your space.
Wow.
And so that's what this is working to do. And always, in every case, I'm jumping ahead. Well, let's do step 2. We'll ask you to choose to love truth and be willing to face and process all the disease-producing energies. And that is generational, like you talked about your mother and your father, and that they had also been, had a hard time and everything. Yeah. So they didn't deal with it and clear it, so it passed on to you. If you don't deal with it and clear it, it passes on to your children and so forth. It's just like, the color of your skin or the color of your eyes, you pass it on. These energies get passed on as well.
So if your children are adult children and you clear this energy, does it clear the energy in their world? Or is it now that they're adults, they have to clear it themselves?
If Michael's on there, I'm going to let him address that one.
I'm here, of course. And my take would be what happens when you start to think of yourself rather than as a physical being and your children and such as physical beings, that we are actually energetic beings, and you think in terms of energy passages, because for so long on the planet we've been taught that forgiveness is about, I have something painful inside of me, it's all your fault, but I'll forgive you. The passage for opening that space inside of ourselves to really, truly let go of literally the very capacity for any form of hostility, fear, or pain, those dynamics, is very small. And so being perhaps the first generation a long time to recognize that actual forgiveness has to do with, I go inside myself and I enlarge the passage in myself to remove, to let loose of whatever this issue is, whatever this hate, fear, anger, grief, pain is. If it's something I've passed on to my children and I do that piece of work, of course my children have choice, and if they've chosen to live with that as one of their mottos, then that might be another worksheet for me to do. But what I do is I open the energy window. for them to move on another level through that. So I make it a little easier for them. I open the space. And oftentimes, like we had a woman here at Heartland last year. We're just finishing our intensive season. Pardon me, it wasn't last year. She was here about 3 years ago. And she had an issue that was really a major, major challenge for her in her life. She was a grandmother, and as a grandmother, her daughter had cut off all communication with her and would not let her have any interaction with her granddaughter. The reason being, at least on the surface, what looked like happened, was that the daughter had been in a relationship with a man. She got pregnant, and the man went to prison. This girl was 20 years of age. Her mother, the grandmother that we're talking about now, who was here at Heartland doing this piece of work, when she was in her teens, got involved with a man, she got pregnant, and the man went to prison. There were drugs and alcohol involved, several years of an absolutely insane and crazy life, which she had worked through some major pieces. And so here comes her daughter at age of 20, the product of that particular marriage, and she's getting into a relationship with a man who's in prison. She's pregnant. And so she goes to her daughter and says, "Sweetheart, you don't have to do this. Please, life will be hell." And her daughter just went into a fit of rage at her. "You never liked me. You don't want me to be happy." And it's like, relationship with a man who's in prison and being a single mom pregnant, doing drugs and alcohol. I'm preventing you from being happy, right? But anyway, as a result of all that, she was cut off from her daughter. Oh. She did a major processing ring-out session around that issue when she was here, and we're getting ready. It was a morning session. We're getting ready for lunch intermission, and she decides that instead of having lunch, she's going to go down to her cabin and rest. She walks down to her cabin, which is 300 feet away. She goes to lay down. She reaches over to pick up her cell phone and turn her cell phone off. And her cell phone rings, and it's her daughter, who's 1,500 miles away. "Mom, I apologize. I realized I was in error. Please, when you get home, let's get together and take care of it, heal this."
Wow. Ooh.
So they're the kind of, we could tell you story after story after story where we've seen those kinds of results. But you can't force a child if they've picked up and decided that this error is going to be the error of their lives. All you can do is open the energy window, demonstrate that it can be done, and offer support for them letting go of it. But it's ultimately going to be their choice to do it. You just created a bigger passageway for them to pass through so that, the press through is not quite so tight. It's easier, and, the energy window has been opened. That would be how I'd view it.
That's beautiful. Thank you for explaining it like that. Hope.
Yes. Absolute hope. Oh, we could tell story after story. We did a Healing Through Relationships workshop a few months ago, and Jeanie was talking to a man at the back of the room at the end of the workshop, and, we'd gone through the relationship commitments we used in that workshop. And the man came to Jeanie and said, "Well, my wife and I are on the rocks. We're in divorce. We're getting ready for divorce. We're talking about that. It's turned into a really dismal, painful relationship." And Jeanie said, "Well, why don't you take a commitment and start to use it with her?" And the guy said, "Well, it wouldn't do any good." And she said, "Well, Jeanie," says, "well, here, take it, see what happens. It's not going to cost you anything." So he took it. He called Jeanie just a few weeks later and said, "You're not going to believe this." He said, "But my wife and I are having a blast. The whole conversation about divorce is gone. The trauma has gone from our relationship, and we're like on our second honeymoon. We're having a blast." And Jeanie said, "Well, wow, that's very cool. Yes, we hear those kinds of results. When you read it to her, does she read it back to you?" And he kind of went into a bit of confusion. He said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, when you read it to him, does he read it back to you?" The guy said, "She doesn't know I'm reading it to her."
Oh, my gosh.
He's going into another room and reading this commitment to her. The whole relationship turned around in a very few weeks. So when I make an energetic shift, everybody around me on some level has to make an energetic shift. Now, sometimes that shift is not going to be toward wonderful. Sometimes people are going to be in disturbance because all of a sudden you're not playing the role in their drama that you're supposed to play. And sometimes those people will crank up the heat. The 4 results that I've seen over the years when somebody says, "Okay, I'm going to start to do my work," is the people around them look at them and go, wow, that looks so awesome on you. I see the difference, and that's fabulous, and I want some of it. The second result is, wow, I can see you're really making some changes. That's cool. It looks great on you. I'm not interested, but I'll support you. The third one is the one I talked about a minute ago. I'm really peeved that I can't control you and get you to play in my drama anymore, so I'm going to crank the heat up to try to force you back there. And then the fourth one is, there's no resonance left. I'm out of here. So they're the things we've seen happen over the years when somebody starts to do their work.
Yeah, and it's funny, in the last year since I've started this work of really doing some inner work and clearing, very negative relationships, my whole world is, like you said, it's like, what is going on? It's like everybody's turning up the heat and trying to force me back into that box. Because, as they said, I dropped 80 pounds. They said, when you're 80 pounds heavy, you're so much nicer. You're that Karen that would give anybody anything and do anything for anybody. And, now, and I'm looking at them thinking, now I'm setting boundaries and not giving away myself. Nobody likes it.
Right. Well, the people who were in codependence won't like it. The people who live as true human beings are going to go, wow, this is awesome, Karen. Look what you're doing for yourself, and I support you in it. But the people who are unconscious and are just used to ripping you off are going to be very disappointed, and they'll get to do their own work, or they'll tend to disappear.
Perfect.
So you're right on track. It's fabulous that you're keying in and doing that. And what you'll find is each worksheet that you do will take you into parts of your mind that have literally been around in your family system and your bloodline for generations. You'll clean up. There's a story in the ancient scriptures about the Jews wandering in the desert for 40 years. Here's this group of people who are wandering in a 30-square-mile area for 40 years. How can you get lost for 40 years in 30 square miles? That's ridiculous. They weren't talking about a physical desert. What they said, though, was to get out of the desert, which is just a term for the unconscious, where you have no thought of true being of self and love, living as love and taking care of yourself, is the desert is the unconscious. And so what had to happen in that particular story, and it's a story about us, it's not about some old fogies in the desert thousands of years ago, it's a story about us, and what had to happen. What did they say had to occur? They said the old generation had to die off. That didn't mean everybody in old physical bodies had to physically die. The root of the word generation is genari, which means cause. All of the old causes held in the mind had to be removed. How do you remove them? It's called forgiveness. And you can't forgive what you can't get in touch with. And so the worksheet will support you and assist you in being able to get in touch with all of those old causes, all of those old generations, and cleaning them out. And the more of them you clean out, the more your children, the people you're in relationships with, will tend to tap in and support you in it.
Oh, my gosh, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you. There are no accidents.
Where are you in the country?
I'm in Canada.
I was just going to say, I detect a little note of a Canadian accent. Whereabouts?
And us Canadians go, we have an accent?
Yes, Canadians. I'm a Canadian. We have an accent, yes.
And where are you from?
Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, yeah, you're close. I'm in Guelph.
Oh, cool. Well, we've been talking to a couple of people. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we're heading up in that direction. We haven't actually set anything up yet, but if there's a venue in Guelph that has a decent, fairly large number of people that we could present to, when we do a workshop series, we pay our own expenses, and the workshops are free. So if you can come up with a place for us to speak and present, we'll come and do a whole week. If it's a large enough group, we'll come and do a whole week of workshops free.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm right in the time of my life where I can spend the time to pull that together.
Awesome. Well, then maybe we'll get to play in just a few weeks. If oftentimes we speak in centers that are called CSL. I don't know if there's one up there. They're also called Religious Science or Center for Spiritual Living. We do a lot in Unity churches. We're actually finding more and more opening in Roman Catholic churches to bring the work. And so church groups, oftentimes what we'll do is we'll speak on a Sunday at their Sunday service or services, and then Sunday afternoon we'll do the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop on forgiveness. Then Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, we'll do a whole series of free workshops. And if the group is large enough and there's enough participation, Then on Saturday, and there's one workshop when we travel that we do charge a fee for, we'll do an all-day process workshop that starts, at 8 in the morning, goes through till sometime around usually 6 in the evening on Saturday. So,
And when are you coming up?
Well, we're actually heading up there in probably the next 2 weeks or so, and planning to be around that area, going up to visit family. We haven't been up there in a couple of years. So we're probably going to be around for at least a month, maybe longer. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's
we haven't set our whole schedule up. But so if there's somewhere that we can get a good-sized group of folks together, we'll come and play.
Well, I will look for that for you because that would be so exciting. I'd love to meet you.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
If you would send me your contact information,
Okay.
my email is Jeanie, Jeanie, at YWHY, again, AGAIN.com. If you'll send me your contact information, I'll put it in my phone, and that way we can, send me your email, your phone number, whatever. That way we can stay in touch.
Okay, I will do that. I have a girlfriend who is huge in one of the Unity churches in Kitchener, so
cool.
I will contact her because
come and play.
I would love it. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being a blessing today.
If you introduce them to it, they can go to our website. On the home page, there's a video of us doing a Sunday service. Actually, it was at Unity in Diamond Head in Hawaii. So there's a video right on the home page if they want to check out what we're doing. And if they want names of Unity ministers, we can give them all kinds of folks that bring us to their churches regularly to present. So,
I can't wait. Thank you so much.
All right, look forward to hearing from you. Blessings.
Yeah.
Take care.
Blessed to you, too. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, darling. Bye.
Bye. So our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1, and that puts you in queue. If you're already on the switchboard and you want to talk, we're down to about 19 minutes. Press 1. We'd love to hear from you. I see Nene's in the chat room. She's still in Venezuela, I believe. Welcome to the show, Nene. She says, hello, my heart family. This is Nene in Venezuela. We had a MindShifter Steel Point workshop last week at a house in the mountains, and it rained a lot. There were 4 people in attendance, but it was very nice. Awesome, Nene.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. We're delighted that you've opened the Steel Point process in Venezuela. That's fabulous. We just see that becoming a growing phenomenon throughout the whole Spanish-speaking world of you as the spearhead person. And maybe we'll get to learn to speak some Spanish so we can come do some down there, too.
Yeah, it's great. And I've thought about you often, Nene. We're right in the middle of teachers training. And, of course, you were with us last year during teachers training. Julio is with us this year. We've got 30 people in teachers training, and it's been great. Let's see, she says in the chat room, tomorrow, Wednesday, I am invited to do a radio show, Venezuela time, 6 p.m., a spirituality show. That's awesome. Good for you, girl.
Cool.
And she says she misses us too. Julio, whoa, amazing. So we'll tell him hi for you when we get back down there. We just finished our 3-day fast yesterday, and we're starting to eat today. So I hope that they save us some because I think they're a hungry bunch of people. She says, yes, best teachers training, the best.
Well, the events in the teachers training have just been awesome. There was we just did the last piece of the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop in teachers training. The group actually Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop, and so there was a woman who was heading up and in charge of doing the worksheet process, and everybody was taking a step in it. And last night there was just a huge, major blow up within the group, which is just fabulous. We hope that that's the sort of thing that happens. And so today's process was about 2 hours and just monumental healing for everybody in the group. It was just so awesome to watch as she stood up still in her pain and her anger and rejection. And as the worksheet came together, she had courage enough to use the real-life example of what had happened last night as her
presentation, and the whole group supported her. And the energy shift for her, for everybody in the group, it's just so fabulous for everybody. You know, we had a room full of people. We got a pretty full house here with 31 people on the property, and everybody got to see a real-life example of you can change extreme hostility, rage, fear, grief, loss, and pain to the presence of love. And that's what we're here to do, is to demonstrate that. And, you know, when we do teacher training, what qualifies teachers to teach is not that they have intellectual information and know it all, but rather that they've done their own process work. And so the last 9 days of teacher training has just been monumental in the kinds of energy shifts and the kinds of things that surfaced. We've had everything from child abuse to sexual abuse to verbal, emotional abuse issues surface, both people who've had it done to them and people who've done it and passed it on in the generations, who just had such courage to come out and deal with those issues and move through them. It has been just a privilege to watch this group of folks as the energy moves. And, of course, actually probably within the next day or two, the schedule for next year will be on our website. We've actually set the schedule up, so I'll email that to you, Jeanie, so that we can put it on the website. Folks will know what teachers training is going to be next year if that's something they want to participate in. It's actually for someone who has not done a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive, which is a prerequisite to the teacher training. The teacher's training itself is 9 days, and so we marry those two workshops into a 17-day teacher training for those who have not done the 9-day yet. The whole teacher training becomes 17 days, and for those who've already got a 9-day under their belt, then they can come and do the teacher's training separately. It's just a 9-day standalone workshop. So if anybody wants to come and do that next year, we're also doing a 9-day codependence to interdependence. We'll be doing a 16-day Laws of Living. It actually sounds like many people from this group are going to come and do Laws of Living next year as their next piece of their own puzzle. We'll be doing a 9-day Intuitive Development, a 9-day Course in Miracles, and, of course, the 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again. So the summer will consist of 65 days of 6 different modules over the 65 days. So there'll be some people who will be here for the whole 65 days. Some people will be here for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or, of course, some all 6 modules. So if you're interested in doing that, take a look on our website. And within the next day or two, the schedule for next summer will be posted. We are offering a special of 10 DVDs free with registration for any intensive for next summer if you do advanced registration. And if it's something that you're thinking you're going to do, I encourage you to register sooner rather than later, and you can register with a deposit. And that way you get the DVDs and you can start working with them immediately. The sooner you start to work with them, the faster the energy moves and the more powerful the intensive itself is. So if that's of interest to you, we'd love to see you. And or we're heading, as I was saying, to Canada. And then once we're finished there, we're going to be heading west. So anybody out in the western region, we really haven't set much of anything up except that we're going to be in Southern California in October, the latter part of October. So we'll be in Canada and then moving in that direction and are open to invitations to present along the way. So anybody who's on that path somewhere, we're going to be pretty flexible in where we travel as we head west and what comes next. So, and then, of course, on our return journey, we'll probably be through the southern United States from the western part of the country and coming back through Arizona, Texas, and such. So anybody who wants us to come and play, send an invitation. When we do that, we pay our own expenses. The workshops are free. At least 95% of the workshops are free. There is one workshop that we do when we travel, and we do that one occasionally. It's the all-day MindShifters and Still Point Breathing workshop. And that's a workshop that, is an all-day kind of a thing that starts at 8 in the morning, goes through sometime between 6 and 7 in the evening. It's a $125 fee, but otherwise all of the workshops are free. So invite us. We'd love to come and play. And Jeanie, our call-in number, of course, is 200-4169. Any callers? Anything happening in the chat room, Jeanie?
Yes, actually, Nene says that for her, this trip to Venezuela has been to face and heal many situations and feelings associated with old patterns. As she keeps herself alert in being responsible for her own reality, she can see the differences. She went into a healing crisis, a very intense one yesterday. It lasted about 4 hours, but then she had serenity and love and more good things manifesting. And we do have a caller. We actually have two callers. The first one, though, is area code 970. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hey,
Congratulations to you, Nene, for what you're doing there. And I think we're getting ready to hear from Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Right. Hey, I just wanted to say hi really quick a minute and just confirm how wonderful it was to be there for an intensive and how much it has really deepened my experience of this work and changed my life, and how amazing it is to be now just so clearly understanding when friends start sharing things with me and I can say to them, tell them the Einstein quote and say, you know, every single thing in the world around us is an outpicturing of the resonance that we're carrying on the inside. And to get ourselves to the place where only love is the thing that shows itself to us, I mean, is kind of the, I guess, where we're heading for as we clear away the layers. So that's really been neat to have my own experience deepened. And then a question I have, I guess I'm really feeling strongly the layers being removed that have kept me from just being 100% fully into my own work, as, you know, doing that as my journey with nothing else interrupting that, and, you know, needs to earn income other ways and that sort of thing. So I guess I just ask if you have any input on, you know, kind of how to get through the next step that's moving that direction. I've been doing some mind shifters and doing some worksheets, and I'm sure the answer is probably all of the above. I just thought I'd ask if there's any input.
Well, I think you've got the answer very accurately. You know, every tool we teach is about dealing with every situation you could possibly create in your life and getting to conscious creatorship. So, yes, that's what we're here to support, for sure. Is there a particular issue or question around which you have a question?
You know, I think where I am right now, I'm earning income. I have a series of my own projects to get done in the next few months to get to the place where they're earning, so that I feel like I have, you know, that coming in. I guess probably the income is probably maybe my biggest I don't even want to call it a stumbling block, but I guess it's probably the thing that's been my excuse.
So then I'd invite you, the next thing you do, to watch the On Creating Consciously workshop.
Guess what I fell asleep watching last night.
Now, did you fall asleep or did you go unconscious watching it?
You know, I'm sure I went unconscious. I kept kind of like coming to and trying to grasp it and then going back to sleep, going back out. So today I'm planning to, you know, start it at an early time and see if I can make it through it in one piece.
Right.
Make it through it conscious. Make it through consciously, creating consciously.
Cool. Well,
yep.
You know you have our support.
I do. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to affirm the phenomenal, you know, tremendous experience it is to actually be there with a group and with you guys and kind of going through the deeper levels. Just this is, I mean, really shifting 2,000 years of thinking in one direction. It really does take growing new brain cells and activating those new brain cells, or activating brain cells that have not involved in this clear process before. So really exciting. So thank you guys for the work you're doing. And I tuned in just a second late. Where is it in Canada you're going?
we'll be up in the area of Hamilton, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay. Cool.
And the young lady that was on the phone is from Guelph, so we may do something in Guelph. We'll just be seeing how that unfolds.
Okay. All right. Well, many blessings, and we'll keep you posted.
Okay. Fabulous. Take care. Blessings.
Awesome. Okay, our next caller is area code 954. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, this is Lois.
Hi, Lois.
Hey there, young lady. How's the support group going?
Well, we have a small core that are very regular. Every week, I can count on them being there, and the work that these people are doing, just a handful right now, is outstanding, very inspiring.
Nothing short of miraculous to watch when a group comes together to do this, is it?
It really is, and I'm humbled, and it's motivating. It's an additional motivator for me to continue to do my work, and so I'm just so grateful for being able to host it and to facilitate it, and I'm looking forward to tonight's session. It's Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock in Pompano Beach, because the gentleman who had a breakthrough 2 weeks ago recognized a pattern of just looking for love from his current wife, his previous wife. I helped him to see it really was something that he was looking for and never received from his mother as well. Big aha for him. And through the forgiveness process, he was able to release needing to be loved by anybody.
Mm.
And it was really wonderful for him to see that. And he had to go out of town for business last week. So he will be back tonight, and I'm very eager to hear how his life has unfolded since that event.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And so the location is on our website. Do you have a location? Do you want to give the location out, or a phone number that somebody can call if they want to know more about the Pompano Beach support group on Tuesday nights?
Sure. The phone number is 954-785-0905, and the address is 1000 West McNabb Avenue. McNabb Road, at the McNabb Executive Plaza building.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Well,
and,
we're delighted, Lois, that you're carrying forward. I mean, isn't it awesome that we teach best that which we most need to learn?
Oh, yes, Michael. And I'm not ready to talk about personally yet. I'm in the process of just really working through some things because it's all triggering and healing, and you will hear a personal report soon. But it's easier to report on what I'm seeing with others. And thank you again for the tools that I really gratefully facilitate and share with others. Talk to you soon.
Delighted. Okay,
bye-bye.
Thanks for the call. Okay. Oh, it's so awesome to watch how this unfolds and how it's moving around the planet. So we've got, just about 5 or 6 minutes left. And
we
so
have
our
a little less than 5 minutes.
Okay. You have a caller? Anything happening in the chat room, sweetie?
No. Nene had said, when things seem to look difficult, I remember Michael's words to keep the condition of love active, present, and conscious, and then do a worksheet. Great to hear the show. Thanks again. Hugs to you, Jeanie. My greetings to Julio, the rest of the group. Love to Michael. Lois, hello and congratulations. And then she signed off, so she's not on there right now. And nobody has their hand up, so we've got a little more than 4 minutes.
Well, cool. Well, let's talk about the whole process of how each of the tools interlocks and interacts with others. So Well, for instance, if we do a series up in Guelph or wherever you are, oftentimes the first series that we do starts out with why is this happening to me again? And we introduce the internal Aramaic concept of forgiveness. And if you want to be introduced to that, you can go to our website. There is a video on the home page of us doing a presentation in Diamond Head in Hawaii. That'll give you a starting point. And then if you click on the link that says download worksheets, and we invite you to go to that link, and there's all kinds of material. It's all free. Just click on the link and download those things. There's chapter 24 in my book, and you can download the whole book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, free in any one of a half a dozen different languages. The second link is the latest 7-step worksheet. And then the third link, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh links are each radio shows where we've walked somebody through a worksheet. And so we invite you to take those tools, and you can just right-click on the link for the radio show, and it says Save to Target. You can listen to it just straight up on your computer while you're connected to the Internet. But if you want to save it to listen to later, or you want to put it on your iPhone or your Android phone or whatever, or on your CD player, if you want to make a CD of it, you just right-click, and it'll give you an option to Save to Target. You click that Save to Target, and then put it somewhere in your file system on your computer where you'll know what it is. And like if you've got an IBM system, there'll be usually a section that says music. So what I do is I take anything like that I'm going to download, I put it in that music folder, and then I'll create a new folder for, let's say, Y radio shows or MindShifters radio shows. And then you can just save it to that folder, and anytime you want to listen, you can go back and listen to it. Or if you have an iPhone or an Android phone or whatever, you can plug it in, and it'll open a window, and then you can just drag. Once you've saved it to your hard drive, then you can just drag it over to your iPhone or your MP3 player or whatever, and listen, or burn it to a CD. So, and feel free to pass it on, make it available to others. And part of our project here is to create a space on planet Earth where it's safe for human life to show up everywhere on the planet. And, of course, human life, the definition becomes quite a challenge because we really don't have words in our vocabulary for human life because, frankly and sadly, there's not much of it around. There are a lot of human forms, but not much human life in them. So we offer an experiential definition of a human life. Hold the newborn child, you know exactly what a human life is. If you're not living out of that presence of love that the newborn is, then stop kidding yourself you've got a human life, because you don't. That's functioning as non-human. Hostility and fear are moments when we're not functioning as human beings. And so forgiveness is the tool with which you remove the things that inhibit your functioning as a true human being. And that's what we're here to share with everyone primarily, is the how-to of that forgiveness process. So each of those radio shows that you download, there are at least 5 different ones. I think it might be up to 6 or maybe even 7 by now. There are 5. So we've got another 1 or 2 to add, and you can take those and put them to work in your life and listen. You'll have personal guidance through the whole process. And what we're looking to do is to create a world where we heal to the point where we can eradicate war. If you go back into the ancient teachings.
We're out of time, Michael.
Oh, we're out of time. Well, then we'll let it go. Invite you to have a great day. Best year yet of your eternal life. Bring a stranger tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.